Good morning. Welcome to my new Pleiadian channel dealing with Semjase and Billy Meier. This is a brief introduction. I did do a few other videos on my other channel, and there was some interest, and that's basically why I'm creating this channel, specifically for Pleiadian videos and Semjase and Billy Meier. As an introduction, I'm not showing you any pictures or anything right now. I just want to briefly talk about my history with this subject. I got into it way back in the 80s and heard of him and started researching it. This was pre-internet. It took me years to get the first photojournal that was created by other sources. Billy didn't do it. If you're not familiar with Billy, he was I believe a Swedish, German-speaking farmer with one arm. Basically lived on Social Security. He lost his arm in a civil servant when he was on the job. He was a civil servant. Wife, several kids. I'm not sure if it's a family of 5 or 5 kids. I think it was him and 5 others. They're only lived on a small farm, basically abject poverty. Only mode of transportation he had was a moped, one of them pedal bikes that has a motor on it. He would go to great distances and have contacts with human extraterrestrials from the Pleiades. The Pleiades is a star cluster about 500 light years from here. He took at least 1,000 crystal clear 35 millimeter photographs and several films. Now, in the investigation, I got to tell you before I get into that, he had numerous attempts on his life during the process of releasing these. He received worldwide attention. Numerous attempts on his life. Everybody basically rejected him, even the UFO community, because they thought, oh, how could somebody take such great pictures? You know, here they are thinking so high of themselves. Why wasn't it me that was picked? You know, there's a reason Billy was picked. But that said, you can go online and type in Edward Billy Meier, and you'll find a lot of people debunking him. I tell you, some people that debunk him really never met him. They just created that they don't really have any evidence per se. But I'm not trying to dissuade you. You can go in and believe whatever you want to believe. I'm going to present over the course of this channel the evidence that was scientifically and forensically and professionally gathered by people that went in specifically either to prove him wrong or prove him right, without an agenda. And when I say to prove him, the facts, the evidence would do that. So I will present evidence to you. Now, along with evidence, Billy had well over 100 contacts. His primary contact was a girl named Semjase, a blonde human extraterrestrial who appeared to be in her early 30s, but was actually much older. And all of their contacts is documented verbatim. And I will present to you some of their conversations, because Billy transcribed, and by transcribed I mean it was telepathically put into his brain. With one hand he would type upwards of 60 words a minute, their conversations, as a record. The only thing that's being omitted is there was a lot of prophecy, some very specific predictions, very specific information about individuals and events that some of them have occurred, maybe a lot of them have occurred. And so that was kind of omitted. But you'll learn some interesting things they talked about. like the history of our solar system, the true history. For example, what the asteroid belt actually is, which is actually the remnants of a planet that existed between Jupiter and Mars that basically blew itself up. Where Venus came from. Venus is not a natural planet to this solar system, and neither is our moon. How they got here, I will tell you later in their own words. But I will say one thing about Venus. Venus is a lot different than any other planet. When you look at how hot it is, it's just different. Anyway, we'll get into that later. So I'll get this up so I can get a video going and start presenting evidence and the Pleiadians' words and regarding this great historical contact case that took place primarily back in the 1970s. Take care.